I'm going to start with you, Gianna. Gianna, give me some good advice on what, either as an attendee or a producer, and it can be any kind of tip, what you should do at a conference.
Well, conferences are all about people, so you should go and actively try and meet new people. Smile, introduce yourself.
All right, that's some good advice. All right, Tom, I'm going to ask you the complete opposite. Give me some bad advice on what to do at a conference.
As a conference producer, you should not schedule things down to the minute because you're leaving yourself no gaps in case unforeseen circumstances happen.
Okay, that's good, bad advice. Give me some worse advice, Gianna.
Well, conferences are all about people, so you should actively try to trip people as they're walking past you.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
That is some good and bad advice. All right, welcome everybody to Super Cyber Friday. My name is David Spark. I am the producer. Whoops. That is not what I wanted to do. This is a new, if you haven't seen, this is version 2 of Crowdcast. And we're just getting the hang of it. And in fact, we have someone in Crowdcast. It's in the back helping us, making sure nothing screws up. Today's topic is hacking conferences. An hour of critical thinking about shaking up the old format of in-person events. And joining me for this discussion, and you just met him, Gianna Whitver, the co-founder and CEO of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. They're having a big event coming up in December. Gianna will tell you about that later. And also Tom Hollingsworth, who's the organizer of Tech Field Day. Both of them produce events. So these are two people that are good to have on the show. And I should also mention that we are going to focus this discussion mostly on smaller conferences, not big expos like RSA and Black Hat, but smaller conferences, and essentially anything that's not tens of thousands of people. All right, lots of different ways to participate. Here's the bad idea topic: what not to do at a conference. Okay, and you can speak as an attendee or a producer here. What not to do at a conference, and then we want your tips on how to improve a conference. So, bad idea. Label it bad idea or 10%. Either way, you can vote on the polls. And anytime you can say, bring me on. We actually have a new way to bring people on. If you have a question or comment, we can do that. Ask a question anytime. You can see that with the questions. I don't know exactly where everything is. The Q&A on the right-hand side. If you see there's like a little bubble with a question mark in it, that's where you can ask your question. So go ahead and put that there. And then vote on your favorite question as well. All right. What else? Whoops. Let me click here. There we go. Okay, so our schedule, basic stuff. You've seen it before. We'll play the public interest. We'll play Department of Yes. We'll have a meetup at the end. If you've never been to our meetup, please come. It's a lot of fun. You get to chat with Gianna, Tom, and myself, and others as well. And then also, that's for later. Anyways, we don't have another episode scheduled right now. We have some sponsors have events coming up, but we don't actually have it scheduled. So I'm not promoting next week's event yet because heck, I don't know what the heck it is, unfortunately. Actually, there isn't going to be one next week, but we'll figure this out. All right, let's get to the questions at hand. And again, remember, you can get your questions in as well. So let me ask the first question. Why have I hidden all this stuff? All right, what is the problem with format of smaller security conferences? I'll start with you, Gianna. What do you think most fail at?
Well, I think that a lot of smaller security conferences, and I'm thinking of, for this answer in particular, I'm thinking of ones run by organizations, associations. They might have limited resources in putting on the conference. A conference is a lot of work, and therefore where you see some pitfalls maybe at a show in terms of content or in flow, it might be because they just have a lack of time, energy, resources in order to put on a small conference. It's a lot of work and people don't realize it.
Yeah. I am always amazed, Tom, that everyone has an opinion about how a conferences should be produced. Oh man, I can't believe they did that. Who are these idiots running this kind of thing? And it's endless stuff you're juggling, isn't it?
It absolutely is. The things that you don't see happening behind the scenes, whether you're trying to coordinate speakers or trying to deal with the logistics of a catering service or even the small little accidents that happen along the way, all of that happens. And it's our job to make sure that you don't ever see that. So, for example, you didn't know that if you were going to be handing out s'mores at a booth, that you had to source the marshmallows from the catering service that the convention center uses at a 200% markup. And you're like, nobody told me that. Nobody cares. Our job is to just have marshmallows and s'mores and everybody have a good time.
So it's interesting you say that because I have a friend who's also another friend who's a conference producer, and he can't go to a conference without freaking out by whatever he said. Like if he just sees water bottles on the table, he's like, "Oh, I know how much that costs." Like you know, how much? Let me ask you, how much do water bottles on the table, like in a session, how much do water bottles on the table cost?
I want to say it's in the neighborhood of about $6 or $7, unless you're in Vegas, in which case it's like 12
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Wow,
per bottle.
per
Yep.
bottle. That's unbelievable. And they, in no way, can you bring in your own case of bottles and set them out? Can you? Not a
Nope.
chance.
They are looking for that. However, I have figured out that if people bring their own snacks in, not me as an organizer, but if you just happen to bring your own snacks in, like if you went to Costco ahead of time, that's totally allowed. So just
Hold on,
saying.
wait. So if you, I want to understand the dividing line here. I could bring my own snacks from Costco and dump them on the table too
You can
No.
bring your own snacks for you.
for you, but you could let others share, partake in them.
I
they'd have to come
can't
to your
control
booth?
that. That's your own personal property. So if you happen to have a
Oh,
rolling
so
double
but not
bag-
as the event producer. The event
Right.
producer can't do that. One of the sponsors could do that.
right. I signed the contract, so I can't provide food. I can meet
But
you
if-
outside the convention center and hand you a backpack full of snacks, but I didn't provide the food inside the building.
The conference
got it.
black market.
So hold on, wait. So I want to. This is about hacking. This is great hacks here. I like this. Okay, so if and this is little finding ways around nasty things. Okay, so by the way, lots of bad ideas coming in. I love this. Thank you everybody for your horrible ideas. So let's say this. Say, for example, I'm a sponsor for Gianna's show coming up. I want to help Gianna out. Gianna says, "Hey, David, I just want you to have these 2 cases of water bottles. Have them, David. And if you want to put them wherever you would like to put them, put them." And if I do that, is that cool?
No, it's not
No.
cool. So in the specific case of our conference, which will be in Austin, Texas this year, and David will be there, by the way, everybody. No, you would not be allowed to do that. And I hope the hotel is not on the show. I hope they're not in the chat.
Hold it. What are the workarounds here, Tom? What can we do to get away from the $6 to $12 a bottle on the table? I want to know
So-
if there's a workaround here.
The first thing for sure, John Johnson brought it up. Make sure that the venue allows you to bring stuff in from the outside, because some of them are very strict about not allowing those kinds of things in.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you can do, and I love this little hack because it works so well, is that you can encourage everyone to be eco-friendly and bring your own
Yes.
water bottle. Because believe it or not, bathrooms still have sinks. I know it sounds disgusting, but so does paying $144 for a case of water. So you need to make sure that you're allowed to bring those things in. And don't go ballistic. Like, do not wheel in like a wheelbarrow full of like Airheads or something like that, because that looks pretty suspect. But realistically speaking, how much candy can you go through in a day? Or if you're someone who's like, I don't like the fact that there's sugar everywhere, I want to bring in my own healthy snacks.
Mhm.
Generally, people will look at that as a lifestyle choice and go, you know, you're absolutely right. I should probably spend a little bit more time eating things like beef jerky or oat bars or something like that. So it looks like you're just trying to make better choices. But realistically speaking, what you've really done is you've gone and bought the thing from a place that is way cheaper. So
Right.
you have to kind of work with the rules, because, you know, in a lot of places they don't do bag checks, because if you try to do a bag check, even outside of a 300-person conference, it would take forever.
Right.
But if someone spots you doing something that looks a little shady, especially at security conferences, they will stop you and be like, I'm going to need to look in that.
Mm-hmm. So this seems like a kind of a minimal workaround. There's not a lot we can do here, is there? Not a ton.
Unfortunately not. And a lot of reasons why is because a lot of convention spaces, whether they're in a hotel or a conference space, will have some kind of a food and beverage minimum that you need to hit in order to get a good deal on the conference. Because it's like a movie theater. Going to see a film, the theater doesn't make any money off of that. They make money off of popcorn and sodas. So a lot of times what will happen is that, we'll give you a really great deal on this, but you have like a ridiculous food and beverage minimum that you have to hit. So like, for example, when you go to a conference and they have like those snack things that they set up between sessions, they're not doing that out of the goodness of their own heart. They had a minimum to hit.
And it's $8,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 14. I would also add, If you are producing a conference, because some of y'all who are in the chat, I saw CornCon's here. Oh my gosh, I love CornCon. You might be, part of a committee, like again, ISC Squared. You might be part of your local conference planning. Once you hit that minimum, you could also do food outside of the event. I mean, if you pick a location that's in like an area where there's a restaurant nearby, what you could do is for lunch, everybody, we're leaving the hotel and we're all going to walk over and have tacos at this awesome place. So for our conference last year, we brought a food truck, which was allowed by our hotel, and we hit our minimum for the hotel food anyway, but also had a food truck, like a couple food trucks come, and that was really fun. So there are other things you can do if you're planning a conference or a security conference to reduce the cost on food.
All right. And now per the what I had seen earlier about, and you said, Tom, giving away water bottles, it would probably be cheaper to produce your own water bottles and have water stations out than buying their water bottles. And then on top of that, you got some branded swag that you're giving away to people as well.
Absolutely. And that has been a trend in a lot of larger conferences as of late, because you can order those water bottles and you don't have to get like the super, like the Yeti brand or even like the off-brand Yeti. I mean, you can get them pretty cheap. You can get them screen printed. If you have somebody who has a Cricut, that won't take long at all. But the idea is that you're solving two problems. Obviously, water stations are something that are going to be very easy to figure out with the venue, because they're generally pretty accommodating for that. But also, yes, you get your thing walking around. And let's be fair, compared to fidget spinners or crappy charging cables or coasters or anything else, a water bottle is something that I can continue to use even after the event. And when I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, I remember that conference. That was really cool. I should totally go next year.
Exactly. Good point as well. What time are we at? 12. Okay. 3 minutes away from playing our first game, or actually lots of bad ideas are coming in. So I greatly appreciate when you introduce yourself to someone, immediately go into elevator pitch for your product service. That happened to me recently, Bryn. And it was quite annoying. Really, in fact, it went into longer than just an elevator pitch, which it was quite irritating as well. Let's talk about the coolest tricks, impressive things either you've done or you've seen other people do at conferences, little conferencing hacks. I'll start with you, Gianna.
Conference tricks, conference hacks, as an attendee or as a producer?
Answer either way you'd like.
So one thing that I really love at some of the conferences I've been at lately is an emphasis on charity. Maybe it's not so much a hack, but there is a lot of garbage that gets produced at conferences. So I've seen a movement from the attendee side and from the producer side to integrate more about nonprofits, giving, charity, and giving back in the ecosystem of the conference. So maybe not a hack, but something that I see as a trend that is like an absolute win for, I think, everybody involved.
Good point. Tom, what about you? What are some small things? And we can continue this sort of throughout this conversation too as well.
Well, honestly, I think my best conference hack going back a few years is if the conference does not give you a community space, make one. I basically squatted at a table and created a community at a large conference because we didn't have anywhere else to hang out. And so we're just like, this is our spot. And that spot has evolved over the years, because once you can get a critical mass of people that want to spend time around each other, then that kind of creates this locus of energy in the conference, and people will realize that. So don't be afraid to kind of claim those spaces within reason. Like, obviously don't go up on stage before the keynote and be like, this is where we're all hanging out, guys.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I just noted that Bryn said worst bad idea, no bar, just scrounge around booths that give you snacks and tiny cups of coffee. I hate to break it to you, Bryn, but this is exactly what happens for the last hour of the show, the booth crawl. So this is actually not bad idea. It's something they pay for, although they have booze usually at that point, at the last hour of the day. All right. We are I'm just here trying to manage the new version of this platform here, but we have our next game.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right, here it is, the public interest. Now, what you're going to get is 4 questions here. I'm going to stress it is extraordinarily difficult to get all 4 correct. I believe we only have had one person actually do it. All right, so I'm just setting you up for failure right now. All
Thank
right,
you.
Tom, Gianna, play. You'll see how this game works. The audience likes to play along as well. Please play along, audience. Here we go. First question is, whoops, hold on. First question is, okay, most average monthly search queries for this word, networking or Keynote. All right, and this is search queries across anything. This is Google. It could be anything here. So what do you think it is, A or B?
Who answers?
You both of you answer.
Oh.
A or B. Both of you answer. What do you think?
A.
What gets more search queries?
I think it's B.
B, Keynote? What do you think, Gianna?
I think it's A.
All right. Splitting. One of you is going to be right. One of you is going to be wrong. And the correct answer is, ooh, B, Keynote. Goes to Tom. All right.
Oh, I'm out of the running already for 4 out of 4. Damn it.
Well,
Don't worry, I'll tank it on the next one, so we're even.
It doesn't matter. Here's the thing: is there are 4 questions, so you can keep going. All right. What gets more monthly search queries? Is it booth, giveaway, or badge? What do you think it is?
I think it's booth.
I think
Again,
it's Booth also.
Booth, giveaway, badge. Okay, you're both
Ron,
saying C.
You're part of my answer alliance now.
Yeah, I know,
Okay,
right?
here we go. Correct answer is giveaway.
Damn it.
Giveaway. Remember, giveaway can mean a lot of different things too, not
That's
just at
true.
a trade show. All right, a lot of D's. I saw a lot of D's there. Congrats on the D's as well.
You're not getting anything. We're not giving anything away.
No. All right, conference, trade show, or event. What gets more?
Event.
Conference.
All right, splitting again. So Gianna has 1, Tom has 2, and the correct answer is conference. But not too much. A little bit. All right.
That was a close one. Trade shows are dead, evidently.
I'll say, Tom, you are 3 for 3. Am I correct here?
No, I am 2 for 3. We both
2 for
missed on
3.
the last one.
Oh, you both missed on the last one. Excuse me.
So we didn't give anything away.
Didn't give it. All right. What gets more, RSA conference or DEF CON?
Oh, average monthly search queries from anyone in the world. Well, RSA is a bigger conference, right? They're
Yeah.
like, what do we, I don't remember the exact numbers. And DEF CON is like 30,000 people. RSA is like 45,000 people plus. I'm going to say DEF CON though, because DEF CON is a very community focused event.
What do you think, Tom?
I think it's RSA, but only if it's not July, because the number of queries for is DEF CON canceled spikes in July.
Correct answer is RSA. All right. Good job. I didn't even kind of keep track, but Tom, I think you won here.
Tom blew me out of the water. I must be bad at what I do, actually.
No, you're not, not at all. What you do.
No, the problem is you're thinking like a conference organizer and not like a CEO or a CISO, because that's what they Google for. And to me, that's the problem is that when you make a conference based on what you want to go see, you're going to get the audience of people who are just like you. And that's why you look at large conferences that have like an executive track now, is because it is nothing like the thing that you go to, because it's aimed at those people.
All right. Let's get to our questions. Do we have questions from our audience? Let's see if we got, okay. And I can answer this to one degree, but I'd like to hear from both of you as well. Larry Rosen asked this question. Do you know of any central place to discover local security conferences besides looking for the local B-side? I'll quickly answer and just say meetup.com. We didn't have security conferences, but we just started one in San Diego. So if there's anyone in the San Diego area that's listening, go to meetup.com and look for cyber, and you will find us as well. And we've got a meetup at the end of this month. Tom, Gianna, how do you find local conferences?
It's tough because it used to be that the answer was go to Twitter, and then Twitter caught on fire and crashed through the atmosphere. You kind of have to know what the local space looks like. Honestly, LinkedIn may be your best bet now, but you kind of have to sort through the chaff a little bit. But if you're following a lot of local talent, if you want to call it that, they can give you good ideas, especially if they start standing up a new conference, because they're going to want to promote it and then you're going to see it.
Okay. Any ideas, Gianna?
So John Johnson just put in the chat, infosecconferences.com. I personally have found that that's a great starting point, but it's not inclusive of every conference in security. And of course, there's probably no resource that knows every conference in security unless there's some sort of like all-seeing, all-knowing security person who like gets it fed into their brain. So since there's so many. So I would say LinkedIn's probably a good place. And I would also hit up your local chapters of B-Sides. of ISC Squared, of ISACA, of OWASP, whatever conference,
ISSA too, as well. Yeah.
ISSA, as well, because those people who are involved in the space locally would probably know what's going on in the area if you are not aware. Also, Eventbrite is also a good one too.
Very, all good points. Yes, all excellent. But I think what you just said, like if you hit the master list, you're going to get everybody and everything in the area because they'll know what's going on. All right, a few extra conferences. Jim McLeod asked this question. I'm sorry. What happened to unconferences? They used to be the next big thing. I don't know if they're the next big thing. I will just say this, that I've seen more unconferences fail in design than succeed in design. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, all you have to know is the fact that alternative stopped being an alternative to music and became its own genre of music. That's usually what happens to an unconference, is that it gets folded into what we would consider to be the regular conference, scheme, or it's founded by one person who just gives up on the idea, and there's no momentum after that. They just are like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to go do something else. I'm tired of running my own conference, and they just quit. And you can't continue to have it without being able to step away from it. That's one thing I will say about Jack Daniel, is that he built B-Sides to be able to walk away from it. And that's why it has continued to be successful, is because it does not require Jack Daniel to run every conference.
All right. We are, by the way, just so you know, we're having an error right now with our poll, but we're going to get it live as soon as we possibly can. It should be, yeah. So we're trying to do this. Again, this is a new platform for us, the version 2. Your experience with unconferences, Gianna?
So what's an unconference, actually? I would start, like, what is an unconference? Is it just a bunch of friends getting together at a bar and calling it an unconference? Is it like a more formal thing? Does anyone, if you know what an unconference is, put it in the chat. So here's the thing. Okay.
But I can tell you my description, what I've seen.
Yes,
just
tell
briefly.
me.
What I've seen is it literally, you block out a certain number of hours or an entire day, and you put a whiteboard up and you literally let attendees scribble in, I want to talk about this at this time in this room. And then you are responsible for doing just that in that room, and people go to it. When I've seen this, it's like what it's trying to do. It's trying to do your job in minutes with no editorial or production control at all.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, there are some.
And that's why I think it's kind of a failure.
Yeah, there's some scrappy non-security conferences that I know that do that. There's some like startup-y ones where it's like, we all like, you come in, you sign up and you talk for 30 minutes about your talk, and people like vote with their feet on which content is the best and all of that, right? I think, and then, yeah, I just think that like you said, the editorial vision and the editorial control and the content curation and the quality, not necessarily may go down, but I don't see that happening a lot at the really high quality events that I go to. I'll also say I kind of styled Cyber Marketing Con, which everybody is a conference for marketers in cybersecurity. I tried to call it an unconference. Last year we didn't have an expo hall. We didn't have a trade show. We were like, that's not cool. Like, people don't want expo halls, right? They don't want trade shows. But then we held our conference and people came up to us and said, where was your trade show? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? They were like, we wanted a trade show because we actually do want to connect with vendors that know the industry and that are curated and that are there. So that was a very surprising sort of unconference insight that I had last year, which is why this year we do have an expo hall.
Oh, very good. Some more questions, and this is a good one from Neil Saltman over at Armis. And I got these messages too just after Black Hat. Where are all these companies selling attendee lists, gathering their data from? Who is the mastermind selling those lists to all these dozens of companies claiming to have the most complete list? Is it all BS? What's going on? Gianna, Tom, jump in.
It's garbage. It's BS. Don't buy lists from random people who email you. They don't have lists. They just like pull like a bunch of people's contact info. And if you're a security practitioner, they're also very bad at what they're doing, because of course, why would they be reaching out to you with a list of contacts that aren't even real for who did not attend a conference?
All right. Mike Phillips says, I struggle to have my quote introverted end quote information security analysts go to conferences. I don't have this problem with my security compliance folks or my extroverted information security analysts. I don't want to lose the budget I have lobbied for my team to learn and network with other security professionals any recommendation? I'm struggling to see what the question is here. What is the question?
Actually, I think I understand where he's coming from, because
What?
you know, it's the difference between sending your CEO out on the sales floor. You'll never see them again because they'll be shaking hands and kissing babies the whole way down the row, versus your introverted security analysts who are like, you know, I'm going to shut off my phone when I step on property so that I don't like get hacked or something. And when they walk down the rows, it's always like eyes forward. Don't veer off the path, or you'll get you know, accosted by someone who's wanting to scan your badge. Ultimately, what you've got to do is you have to help them understand that, yes, I understand you are completely exhausted by talking to people, but you've got to find the right group. So look for something like a birds of feather, because that's a topic that you can kind of get into. And once you start building that out, you get way better at being available in conferences. But you also have, as someone who owns that budget, you have to be willing to step back and go, I don't think Timmy needs to go this year because he broke out into hives when I said, why don't you go to a security conference? Maybe you need to do the virtual version instead.
All right. I think we have, by the way, our bad idea poll up. So please, everybody, if you look on the right, there's a little like a bar chart. That is our polls. If you click on that, you can see the bad ideas and you can vote for your favorite bad idea, of which there's a lot here. You know, you are clever enough to know that there's a lot of things you could do wrong at a conference. Yes. And have you seen them? What are the worst things you've seen happen at a conference? Ones you produced, attended, anything like that? We'd love to hear the what not to do. Tom, you're smiling first, so I'll make you answer first.
Oh man, let's see here. The year there was a drum protest in the middle of a keynote because somebody forgot to check badges when they were coming in, and one person bought a badge to get through the front door and brought all their friends with them. That was the only time I've ever seen the CEO of that company literally want to bore a hole through the back of somebody's skull with just looking at them from across the convention center floor. And it was just like, that man is mad.
Well, I was at a conference where they actually hired a drum, like a high school or college drum band, to literally just come through the conference. And I was I was on a podcast. I'm like, well, I guess we're hitting the stop button. No, like we're not keep recording. Gianna, that's a good one, by the way, Tom. Gianna?
Yeah, I mean, I think don't harass other people at conferences. There's been a big movement for more inclusion and diversity at cybersecurity events in the recent years, and of course, codes of conduct and things like that. So I would say that's the worst thing, or one of the worst things that I've seen at conferences is scary harassment.
I find these codes of conduct, things that they put up, I'm like, who is this for? Is there someone who literally was going to do these things stopping themselves from once they see that? I mean, you're nodding your head, Tom.
There are people in this world who are not aware that their actions are crossing lines. And I've always told people, whether it's personal or professional life, don't make me make a rule about something, because as soon as I make the rule, now we have to enforce the rule. And, like on the back of a can of like WD-40 where it says, do not throw into an open flame while chanting the Bhagavad Gita. There's a reason why that very specific warning exists. But part of the reason why is because by putting it in the code of conduct, I now have a yardstick to measure. Because if you violate said code of conduct, now I have actions that I can take. Whereas if it's not written down anywhere, now I can argue as someone who violated social norms to go, well, you didn't tell me it was against the rules. You can't throw me out.
Really? But you know what? Here's the thing. It's like you go into any restaurant or store, we have the reserved right to refuse service to anyone. Honestly, if someone just acts like a jerk, you kick them out, period. It's our show, right?
I think also a code of conduct signals to attendees and future attendees of the conference that, hey, we have your back if something bad does happen. So I would say that it's still a good thing to have.
For that reason. Okay. Because I look at it, I'm like, who is this for that matter? But good point. By the way, have you had to kick anyone out? Gianna, you've only had one show, right?
One in-person show. And no, we haven't had to kick anyone out.
Well, wait till I show up.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Tom, have you ever had to kick somebody out?
Yes, we have. We have had to. We had to ask someone not to come back, but we have also had to clarify our code of conduct to cover very specific things, because it was a situation where someone decided that they wanted to argue the rules. And I'm sorry, but I'm a dungeon master. I am the best rules lawyer there is. You will not out argue me, but I will clarify that you are not allowed to do this extremely specific thing. And as a conference organizer, I gave a talk a couple of years ago about creating this community. You also have to be cognizant of the fact that you are setting an example for your attendees. So, as by way of example, if you are at the symposium having a beer, that's one thing. If you are dancing on the sculptures because you had 12 beers, you are setting the example for your attendees, whether the code of conduct says so or not. So you always have to be aware that you are visible to everyone that knows that you're putting the conference on.
What techniques have you found? Because you said, at the very beginning of the show, Gianna, you said the whole show, it's all about people. It's all about people. And I agree 100%. And by the way, I just want to say this and out to the entire audience. Whenever I go to a conference and I hear people complaining about the conference, my attitude is it's your fault. It's nobody's fault but your own. Because there's this whole room, not you, Gianna.
No, I know, but I'm just surprised. I have an expressive
you the
face.
attendee. Because this is my theory. No matter what is the conference, there are people there with wisdom, and you can learn from anybody in that room with wisdom. It's your job to find that wisdom and draw it out of people and make it your own, make it your value. Because while you have a certain responsibility as an event producer, I think each attendee has a responsibility too. So what do you think is the attendee's responsibility to making your conference a success? Gianna, I'll start with you.
That's an interesting question. What are my attendees' responsibilities? So what we do is we create a culture where people do feel like they're amongst a group of friends at our conference. So I actively, me, Maria, who's co-founder of the society, welcome every single person to the conference. I think that sets the stage because culture comes from the top, right? Like you were saying, Tom. And then in terms of if you're having a bad conference because you're on your phone in a corner the whole time and saying nobody wants to talk to me, this was a horrible conference, everybody's a jerk, I would say raise your hand, attendee, and actually you could tell the organizers, hey, I'm shy and I want to meet some people but I don't know how, or find a friendly face in the audience, the super extrovert, and they will literally probably take you by the arm and introduce you to folks. So I would say raise your hand, be open and active and willing to engage with other people. And that's how you can have a better time at a conference if that's your qualm.
Let me tag on to just that very thing. One of the first articles I ever wrote was specifically how introverts can get a job or speak. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard was, if you're a very severe introvert, before you go to an event, call ahead and say, what is the name of the organizer of the event? And I will get the name of Gianna or I will get the name of Tom. And that means I'm walking into a room, because by the way, we've all felt this. You walk into a room, there's a ton of people there, you don't know anyone. It's actually weirdly a very lonely experience at that point. But if I walk into a room knowing I have to find Gianna or I need to find Tom, and Gianna, I introduce myself. Oh, I emailed you earlier, Gianna, about this, and I'm into this, and this. How should I, who should I talk to? Everyone or a lot of the people there, you would probably make the best first introductions. Yes? Am I right on this, Gianna?
I think you're right. And also a lot of conferences nowadays are a little more tech enabled than they used to be too. So often there's a platform where you could even see who's attending in advance and reach out to them.
Not enough people take advantage of that. Very few people do their pre-production work, do they, Tom? Very few.
Don't. Who's going to be there? I put that up on a page for a reason.
Yeah.
I want you to see who's going to be there. I want you to understand who they are. I want you to be comfortable with them. I have the benefit of running what most people would consider a very small conference. I only have about a dozen people that I've directly invited, but they know who I am. I've had conversations with them. I'm familiar with them. And I tell them, usually when I park them, kind of like Gianna, I park them in a chair and I'm like, listen, you deserve to be here. You aren't here by accident. So I want you to feel comfortable that you are around peers and friends, and you should feel comfortable opening up. But if at any point anything happens and it makes you the least bit uncomfortable for whatever reason or another, please let me know right away. And it can be something as stupid as I forgot to bring a razor. Okay, we'll go to Walgreens and get you one. My suitcase got lost on the flight in. I have introduced someone to the softer side of Sears before. But that idea that you're willing to go above and beyond to make them feel comfortable, because we've all been in a conference where something has stressed us out, whether it's a phone call, or a project that's due or something like that, if I can take as much of that off of your plate as possible so that you can get to enjoy the experience, that relaxation causes people to open up and to start asking questions. Because the worst thing you can do at a conference is to get locked into a track and only think that you can do the things that are on your schedule and not look for anything outside of that. Because the best stuff in life happens when you don't follow the plan.
Serendipity is the key to an amazing conference.
But I agree 100%, but relying 100% on serendipity is a mistake per what you said at the beginning of do some planning.
Serendipity can be planned.
Yes, you can have meetups for that matter. Someone mentioned, I want to talk about sort of sometimes unnecessarily strict rules. And I see some things, like I saw the Chatham House rule. I've also noticed that B-Sides has this strict rule about unless the person has agreed to be on camera, you may not photograph them. That means anyone in the background as well. But then on the opposite, I see signs like, by walking onto this floor, you agree to appear on camera and video. So just as someone who produces a lot of content, it drives me nuts when there are all these ludicrously strict rules, because it creates an enormous pain in the butt for my production flow. So when are these appropriate? When are they not appropriate? Because I see them mostly, it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's just add that in without even thinking about the impact it has. That's my feeling. And again, I come from a very slanted view. Tom, your thoughts on this?
A lot of times those rules exist because people don't want to do the legwork of trying to figure out if they need to get a release from someone about something. RSA is notorious for this. It's like, if you step through this door, you agree to be on camera for any reason. It's because they don't want to have to spend the 30 extra seconds to blur your face out in a wide shot. But
no, it's a pain. No, trust me, I've dealt with this. This is a pain in the butt. A giant pain in the butt.
Oh, it is. It is, because they want you to basically have to go through their process to get approved to be able to do these things. That way they know what's going on, because the other flip side of that is they don't want to have somebody kind of doing surreptitious recording or catching something that they shouldn't have said on video, the hot mic incidents, if you want to call it that, because then that's an embarrassment. So, like, for example, if I go onto the show floor even at a small conference and I hear somebody trashing a competitor, when they didn't think there was a recording device going, because there are always recording devices going, but then I publicly post that, say on TikTok or something like that. Now, not only is the company going to get a black eye, but you're going to get a black eye for facilitating that exchange or fostering an environment where it could happen, even though you had no idea what was going on. So I think that these blanket statements, because I've even seen it in Silicon Valley,
but
like
it's
you
more
have to sign an NDA
it's
to
more
walk
the
in.
people in the background that are not being interviewed. Like, I always ask the person I'm interviewing, may I interview you? And also I get on-camera releases. Can I interview you for the CISO series? Yes, that kind of thing.
You're right. But what happens if Bill walks through the background and he wasn't supposed to be at B-Sides this week and he gets fired? Can he sue you because you put him on camera?
Because that never happens. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It never, ever, ever happens.
You're right. It doesn't.
I told my employer I was sick, but I was actually at B-Sides.
Some lawyer somewhere is making $400 an hour advising you to put that clause in a contract.
So we do. So at my conference, which again is a marketing in cybersecurity conference, everybody. So it's a little different, but we're just put in our ticket. It's like, hey, if you're coming to the conference, you're agreeing to being on camera, on video. We're going to live stream the event. So there's going to be live streaming for people who cannot attend in person. And that said, if anyone said to me, I can't be on camera for safety issues, for anything, then I would make them a separate lanyard in a different color, give it to them, not tell anyone what it's for except for our team, and make sure that they are not on camera. And that's how I would do it.
Yeah, if you have to do it. As a side note, a friend of mine who actually wrote an adult film was there when the adult film was being shot. And they had a similar thing about, like, because they were doing some behind the scenes making of video. And if you didn't want to be on camera for the behind the scenes making of the adult film, you wore like a certain colored badge. Well, at a bachelor party, watching the film that he wrote, they were watching the behind the scenes material. And lo and behold, my friend did appear in the behind the scenes material. They didn't cut him out. So
wow.
There you go.
It
did happen
on camera. He just happened to be in the shot.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing you could do because the DVD was already made and it was sent out to God knows how many people.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
yeah.
Wow.
So there you
David
go.
has a good point too in the chat that there are specific conferences with very specific rules like DCC, and I'm assuming like some of the FedGov and the government focused security conferences are probably more locked down too. So
No, but also I also mentioned the Chatham House rules. Oh, and we need to jump to our next game, and I don't even know which ones we're going to be doing. But we need to who are our best bad ideas? Actually, Aaron, I'm trying to see. There's so much conversation going in the back channel that I've been completely and utterly ignoring. But the I'm going to go to see what our bad ideas are, because I'm going to try to find our most voted up ones. Oh, I like this one. Okay. We got a couple of good bad ideas. You know what? You're just going to have to speak up. Okay, here we go. I need some music here, don't I? We got a call came in.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
All right. So the poll went up. Not all of you voted, but I'm regardless. Remember, the way this game is played is I am going to read some of the bad ideas. I don't know who actually submitted these, so please speak up if you submitted them. And I'll start with you, Gianna. Gianna, remember, whatever it is, you somehow have to tell me why you want to do this, not be facetious.
yay.
Get ready. This first one's going to be a tough one, and I'm going to be impressed if you're going to be able to pull this one off, okay? Avoid showering at all, at any cost. You
Oh
should
my
definitely
God.
work out, take care of yourself, but showering is discouraged. Why should everyone come to the event, your event, Cyber Marketing Society's conference, without
Well,
showering?
if you Ew, oh my God. Okay, so if you want to be an alpha, you have to show other people that you are through your pheromones that you are the owner of this conference. You're the best attendee. You work out. You're hardcore. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
Gianna, that's a good answer. One up that one, Tom. Why do you want to do this?
I'm trying to save the environment here. There's a lot of aluminum in deodorant, and it's just causing a massive problem. Plus, what do you think about all of those people who have sensitivity to sweet smells and maybe an allergic reaction to some kind of a perfume? How am I supposed to walk?
Oh yeah! I'm very impressed. Very impressed with both of you. Very, very good. Okay. So okay, now let me check. Where was the other one? Here's the other one. Okay. Now, I don't think this is so bad, but they think it's awful. Join the free wireless SSID showing up at security conferences. Why do you think this is? Why do you want to do this, Tom Collingsworth? I mean, you are going to provide a free wireless SSID, I believe, at your conference, right?
Absolutely, I am. And I'm not going to have any kind of encryption or anything on it, because in the closing keynote, I'm going to be providing statistics where everybody was going during the event. And if it's a really cool site, I will have your IP address information and possibly your browser user agent. And I will make an example of why we use conference Wi-Fi responsibly. Mr. FBI agent who happens to be in the force currently deleting his phone.
All right. Gianna.
Well, I happen to run a company that provides you lists of conference attendees, and this is the only way I can get my really high quality data is if you're on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's a very, very good point.
We've got a winner.
Good job.
Touche.
Gianna, I'm very impressed. All right, if we don't have the 10% tip poll up, please. Let's see. Do we have the 10% tip poll? Oh, yes, 10% bit tips. Only 3 of them up right now, 3 tips, because as I mock this audience at all times, they come up with far more bad ideas than they come up with good ideas. If you are going with a team, plan your session so you don't attend the same track. Keep notes and share with each other afterward. In fact, the best I heard on that tip, by the way, tell me who spoke up with that. I never got to see who sent in those 2 bad ideas. Who were they? Did they say I wasn't looking because I was looking at the bad idea thing? But the best advice I heard on that is if you get sent, when you come back, you have to give a presentation on everything you learned, which I thought was excellent.
Ooh, I love that.
Suggest it to your audience as well, Gianna and Tom. That was, I can't remember who did that, but that I thought was a really, really good tip. Please speak up if that was yours. Okay, so similarly, they're calling this have a safe room for anyone to come in and ask for anything or any question legal and within reason. So it wasn't a safe room. They had an AMA desk, and it was like the most popular thing at a conference I was at. Have either of you done anything like that? Tom or Gianna?
Not specifically at a conference. It's kind of an open door policy to do that. But yes, people need to feel like, they can ask you something and you're not going to be like, that was stupid. Or, yeah, we're going to get arrested if we do that. Like, you need to be able to at least provide guidance and say, I think that's probably a good idea. Or maybe you need to go talk to these people. Or I can't talk about this because that becomes a criminal conspiracy, that kind of thing.
So what about you, Gianna? Have you done an AMA?
We don't do that. I mean, we have people in prominent staff shirts that you can just go up to them. And because we're a community event, also a community conference, they're people that likely the attendee knows, and they're members of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. So they're always friendly and willing to help. As long as, again, it's not a criminal conspiracy, like Tom said, or asking for something super illegal. And then on your point, like a room where you can ask anything. I love the idea of quiet rooms, though, at conferences, like quiet spaces, nooks, where people who are overwhelmed with like a lot of stimuli can go and sit and chill out before re-entering the conference.
I do. And someone put one in the poll, something that you talked about. I think it was Tom. Just having a chill space for people to self-organize into small groups, take pictures together. Well, one of the things that I've seen, and it's never really worked, and you tell me if either of you have done this more successfully, but the idea of putting like tags on tables, like if you want to talk about this subject, sit at this, like for lunch and stuff. If you want to talk about this subject, so go to sit at this table. I mean, it's A for effort. Execution, it doesn't work that well. What have you seen, and have you done sort of a variation that's worked better? Either of you?
The variation that works better is to not direct the conversation. Yes, I get that, this table is sponsored by AT&T, so we're going to be talking about private 5G over here. No, don't do that, because nobody will sit at that table. But somebody will sit at a table over here and talk about, I don't know, like what the radio frequency to hack the McDonald's drive-thru is, because that's awesome if you let the community decide the discussion topics. So one of the things you can do, and they're kind of expensive to rent, but if you can get those tables that have the whiteboard tops, you can erase them and write the topic on the table. And then, of course, people can draw on it and kind of do whatever they want to do. But it gives you the flexibility to keep the conversation rolling, as opposed to, well, nobody really wants to sit here because if I do, there's, Captain Salesperson from Company X wants to talk to you about product Y. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, I'll add that ways that we're kind of bringing groups together or trying to facilitate the interperson communication and engagement between folks who are focused on a specific interest is what Jim McLeod, sorry, oh my God, I bungled that really bad. I'm sorry.
I know, it looks like he's had that his whole life. It's McLeod.
Is badge ribbons and identifying things. So in marketing, there's a lot of categories similar to cybersecurity, where you might be in AppSec versus like working at the SOC or whatever, right? We're going to have badge ribbons that identify, that people can self-identify. Hey, I'm in content. I'm in this. That'll help people connect with other folks and also help the shy people have something to come up to someone else and talk about. We're also doing meetups that are around specific topics at our event. They're not sponsored, but they're like, hey, are you in field? Why don't you come and like hang out with other field marketers? Because good for you. It's good for your career to know other people in the industry.
I completely forgot to bring a copy of this downstairs to show everybody, but I'm going to show something my screen. It's going to show my screen. There we go. I wrote a book called 3 Feet from 7 Figures, one-on-one engagement techniques to qualify more leads at trade shows. If you go to the website, 3 Feet Book, the word 3 or the number 3, feetbook.com, you'll find it. And you can purchase it at all the wonderful locations you would like. If you go to get the book, there's lots of places that you can actually purchase it. So a little plug for me there. I thought it'd be appropriate to show it because it is very, very relevant. How do I get rid of this darn screen? Here we go. Hold on. Remove from the stage. There we go. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I was removing you from the stage. I want to remove from the stage. There we go. We're back to business.
Well, if you're removing from the stage, I'll have time to go buy your book.
That's a good point. You can buy it. 3 Feet book. It still sells. In fact, I've had conference producers buy it and it's a series of little tips. Here's my number one tip, and I want from each of you a number one tip, and then I'm going to do one closing thing, and then I'll come right back. Again, my number one tip, if you're working a booth or you're just an attendee, this is a question to ask everybody. What is the coolest thing you've seen or heard at the conference? And this does 2 things. One is, I don't have the capability to see and hear everything, so I'm asking others, and that's sort of a way to get sort of culled information from others. But B, depending on what they think is cool and interesting, it will qualify or disqualify them for whatever it is I'm interested in selling, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I have found that has worked very well, especially if you were working a trade show booth. Gianna, what do you think is the one super tip at a conference in terms of success, like opening question to ask or anything else? What do you think?
Oh God, it's so boring, but hey, how's your conference going? Works a lot for me when I'm like just trying to meet other folks who are in line for coffee. It's just so simple and opener.
How about you, Tom?
It's a riff on yours, but I'm being more prescriptive. What should I go see?
Oh, that's a good one too. I like that.
You're not only so you've made them make a choice. It's kind of like, what is the coolest thing, but you're making,
or who should I talk to?
Yeah, or who should I talk to? Because by doing that, you get them to give you very specific direction, and it also allows you to kind of sort through the whole, come check out my booth, but you should totally go check out the concert. Well, if concerts aren't your thing, then you can be like, it's too many people. Where else should I go? You get a chance to kind of drill into the rest of it.
I should also make another plug that I am going to do a session at Gianna's event called Business Networking Pickup Lines. And in fact, if you look here, there's a couple of videos that show you what it looks like. This whole concept of what I call business flirting, how you can have better networking experiences. And I'm showing it's a workshop, and you'll actually get to do the techniques of business flirting. It's pretty darn cool. All right, let me show one, just do this close, and I'm going to come back for last piece of advice. And actually, Aaron, since we don't have another thing, you can put up the link for the meetup afterwards anytime now. But let me, again, I'm just getting used to this new platform here. As I figure this all out, lo and behold, going through this all, I just want to mention, that's what I wanted to show right here. So starting in 90 minutes from now, we're going to have John Altstick on for Cybersecurity Headlines Week in Review. That's our weekly show from the Cybersecurity Headline Show. So that's going to be over on the YouTube channel as well. And then, hey, stick around for a meetup. Oh, look at that. The button's there. Way to go, Aaron. This is awesome. A lot's been going on in the back channel. I just want to say a lot's been going on back there. So just click on that. You can click on it now and get in and get yourself settled because it takes a second or two to get in. But that's a chance for all of us to have, face-to-face time. It's going to be pretty cool. And you can ask Tom or Gianna any questions you may have, of which I'll ask you last. And then tell your friends to join us every available Friday. So I don't have another one scheduled. We do have some events coming up in October, but we have to have meetings with our sponsors to decide what that's going to be. So I can't give you a link for that. But when it's available, you can always go to CISOseries.com and click the events button, and you can see our in-person and virtual events that are coming up. If you would like to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday, just email me at David@CISOseries.com. You can also do Spark Media Solutions, but just do David@CISOseries.com. You'll find me as well there. All right. Closing advice here. We could have talked for another 3 hours on this topic. We barely hit enough here. I'm going to ask for you, Gianna, what's some closing advice? And also, please make a plug for Cyber Marketing Con.
Yay! Okay. Hey, everyone. So please join us in Austin, Texas on December 10th through 13th at the Cybersecurity Marketing Society Cyber Marketing Con, where over 300 marketers in the cybersecurity products and services industries will be in attendance, and we'll have really cool things. Also co-located is Cyber Creator Con for cybersecurity influencers, which will be inside of our big conference that we're having.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, this is something that has served me really well. A mentor told me a long time ago, a great way to engage with speakers at conferences, because sometimes there's like such an amazing speaker and you want to talk with them, is to actually ask for that mic during the session and ask a really juicy question, but always introduce yourself first. You say, hi, my name's this, I work at this, I do this. Amazing question. And then afterwards go up to them and they'll recognize you and remember you. And it's a great way to meet speakers if you're interested in that.
Tom, some final advice you have. And also, please plug your Tech Field Day as well.
Absolutely. We have our conferences. We run them 1 or 2 a month. If you go to techfieldday.com, you can check out the latest lineup. Our security conference, we actually just announced at Security Field Day 10 will be November 8th and 9th. So we're going to have some great speakers there. You can always watch live on our website. You can catch the replays on YouTube. We try to make it as visible as possible. My last advice is don't be afraid to take time for yourself at a conference. Yes, you have a schedule. Yes, there is a lot to do. But if you burn yourself out, you will gain nothing from what you've been doing. So if you have to sit down and grab a soda and maybe talk to the person who's sitting across the table from you, don't be afraid to take time for you so that you can get the most out of the conference, because you are not a robot. You are still a human being.
Yes. And here's my attitude about the very late night parties. Nothing ever good comes out of that. Don't stay up late. This is my attitude. Unless you're 20 and can survive on 2 hours of sleep, which I cannot, just get some darn sleep, because you can knock yourself out at these darn things. Yes, Gianna?
Oh yeah. I was at Black Hat last week. Jesus. I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know how someone told me they were there for 11 days. How did you do that? How'd you do that? I was, by the way, I lost my voice after 2 days at Black Hat. Was
Same.
shocked. Yeah, completely shocked. What is, now I want to actually close with what is your, both of you, I'm going to start with you, Gianna. What's your biggest fear of your conference right now? Which, by the way, you're getting great attendance so far. You were worried about that. I was like, what are you talking about? Your attendance is awesome so far. And you're months and months out.
I am worried all the time about all the things. I'm sure Tom has a similar, well, I don't know. You seem cool, calm, and collected. Maybe you're a little less worried.
Well, he does
now.
So many of them. That's the thing. I think,
yeah.
Like if one fails, I got the next one coming up, right?
Yeah,
Tom?
I guess I could do this I could do this interview style, like what's your biggest weakness? Well, my biggest fear is that it'll be so amazing that nobody will ever want to go to a conference again.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's like the interview code. What's your greatest weakness?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I'm just too kind. I just want to do too much. Jeez. Gianna, give me a break. Tom, what's your fear in producing shows?
I just want to say my biggest weakness is brownies. You put a pan of brownies in front of me and I'll devour the whole thing. Yeah. No, my biggest fear is that when the wrong people get in charge of the marketing department at a company and start seeing people as revenue potential and not as partners to work with, or potential, future, whatever, that it really minimizes the effort of people who are trying to go beyond just the scan your badge at a booth thing. And the more that lead gen is driving
so quickly, with just a minute left, what is the behavior that you see a vendor do at a conference that succeeds the most?
Engaging in conversation, actually wanting to understand what you're talking about and not just trying to push you over to the side to buy the thing on the wall. When you understand what a person needs and wants and are willing to tell them the truth, you will gain a customer whether or not they buy something from you today or not.
Good point. Good point. I will add an addendum to that. Don't sit behind the table. Stand in front of the table.
You're creating a barrier.
Don't create these guys literally, they blocked off their booth by putting the table in front. I go, put that on the side.
Yeah. And stay off your phone. Stay off your phone.
Oh my God. That's
I don't want
huge
to talk
in my
to
book.
you.
Nothing screams I don't want to talk to you than staring at your phone. Nothing.
Exactly.
Worse than that is I call it the booth huddle, when the people with the same colored shirts huddle in a circle to chat with each other because they feel more comfortable talking to each other.
Never
Again,
talk to somebody wearing the same shirt that you have on.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing screams. Here's the point I always make on this is your booth is like on stage for the entire duration of the show. And people are judging you walking by whether they talk to you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's get out of here. Let's go to the meetup. Everyone come join us. Let's continue. This is a great conversation. Let's continue this conversation. Okay, I see a bunch of you there. Click the button. I'm at the bottom of the screen. Click the button. I got to thank Melissa from Crowdcast for helping us. I hope she's still there. Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you to Aaron producing. Also, Andrew as well. And just huge thanks to everybody for making this really successful. We had a few hiccups. I've noticed in the back channel what little I could read because I just kept keep doing this darn show. But thank you, everybody. Click the button. Let's do the meetup over on Toucan. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.